here's the thing. But the problem is a lot of times, like in a lot of countries, we would give them loans and they couldn't pay it back, and they really only lose very little. Like they might lose their voting rights in NATO or whatever, the UN or whatever but it's not like huge. Well, China's coming in, and China is saying, like, they're going into Africa right now, and they're building roads, but they're building the roads. So they're building the roads, they're building factories, they're building things in these other countries and having the Africans work them, but they still own everything. So they're basically enslaving them in their own country because they don't want them in their country. So we're going to build these factories. We're going to have you guys work them, and then we're going to reap the profits. And you guys don't own anything. And if you can't pay or whatever the problem is, then we can always come in and take things over. They're giving themselves. They're turning these countries into, satellite. Not even satellite countries. You can't even say yeah. Like you go to Africa. There's tons of Chinese in Africa right now.
Are they loaning the money to Africa to build this, or are they?
No, they're building it themselves. Like we would loan them the money. They're going in and give them a loan that they couldn't pay. The Chinese are going in and they're building everything and then hiring all the Africans. So we're going to raise your economy up a little bit.
Okay.
But look, you see how they treat their own people.
How do they treat their own people?
Look,
explain for him. He doesn't
like
know.
your cell phone right now. You understand if you work like a good job in China right now. First of all, there used to be no middle class, but they actually have a growing middle class. But right now, if you work, and let's say you work for Apple in China,
Foxconn.
Okay, Foxconn. So they here's what they do. You work there, so you're working 40 to 60 hours a week, and you can live and it's in the middle of nowhere. There's nowhere to live. So you can live in one of our buildings. It costs this much money. You can have a cell phone. It costs this much money. You can get on the food plan. It's this much. By the time they're done, these people are basically making, after they pay all their bills, they might have a few dollars left over. Like they're trapped. It was so bad. The depression was so bad in these buildings.
Suicide. People
were jumping out of the buildings. And so when there was pressure put on Apple, because there were all these articles saying are you happy with your cell phone? Because Chinese people are jumping out of buildings because they're working 50, 60, 70 hours a week and you're taking all their money. It's a complete trap. And this is their own people. And Apple said, look, you have to fix this. Do you know what they did to fix it? You're right, we do. We're gonna lock the windows, and if they knock them out, we're putting nets.
That's nice.
They put nets at the end, so if they do jump, they'll hit the net.
Yeah.
Maybe just pay them a little bit more. Is that an option? They're like, oh, that's crazy. Wait a minute.
No.
But
that's more affordable.
Right. But so I'm saying, what are they going to do if this is their own people? What are they going to do? And listen, they're going to want to take Taiwan back. They're already trying to do that. They're already making these little fake islands. So they're making little fake islands off the coast of China so that they can expand the China's like what's their property. They're going to try and they want Taiwan, but they've already said that we want Taiwan back.
They're taking Taiwan over.
Yeah, we're going to take this back.
What was the latest
at some point?
What was the last jurisdiction they took over? What was the
it was the
NBA player was talking about it. The guy for the Celtics. I forget.
What are we saying?
Wait,
what was the question?
Man, I can't believe
they keep taking more and more territory. Like they keep claiming
right,
more
but
and more
nobody does anything.
How come they can't take North Korea?
They don't want
they
North
work
Korea.
with North Korea.
Yeah, they don't want North Korea.
They are.
There's a ton of people there. They're all so basically they'd have to come in and feed the first. That's like us invading North Korea. Why don't we invade North Korea? First of all,
because they have China.
Well, of course, they have China, but the second problem is this: now we have to feed all these people. Like they're starving to death right now.
Right.
We come in. It's a logistical nightmare to have to feed all these people in an economy that can't pay for their own food. So we don't want that problem. China doesn't want the problem. Why wasn't China? China could go in there in a weekend and take over the whole country. They're like, these people, the average height down there's like 5'1". They have no nutrition. I'm like a giant in China. I'm like 6'2" in China. I could be pushing everybody around. But yeah, it's in China, in North Korea. It's horrible.
Right.
It's horrible. Did you see the one soldier? This was a couple of years ago. He escaped. He got through the demilitarized zone. He actually got into South Korea. They were like, listen, this guy had like 6 different like tapeworms inside of him. They said malnutrition. I mean, he was just falling apart. This is a soldier.
Mm-hmm.
And he was explaining, he's like, look, there's no food. Like, we're barely being fed. And they chased him down. They tried to kill him on their way there. They're shooting at him, everything.
You want to know what's fucking crazy? What I just found out the other day when I Googled it, when me and him were arguing about, he was trying to argue with me about China. He's saying China's, there's nothing wrong with China. And I was trying to explain to him all this stuff.
Bro.
I was like, I looked it up. I said, what crimes are punishable by death in China? Fucking fraud.
Oh yeah, fraud.
Mortgage
was a
fraud.
big
No,
one.
no
Is
good, bro. No
death
good.
penalty.
Almost any type of fraud was death.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's bad. Did you remember the thing where that guy did they kill him or did he kill himself? Where they had the dog food from China and they were putting some kind of bullshit filler in it. That was like basically it was like styrofoam or something in the dog food or something just to save a little few pennies. And when they found out about it, the guy was like, I think he killed himself because it was fraud. Like you're running a scam and you're making us look bad. You're selling this to the Americans. Now it's in all their papers. They're going to stop buying. They're going to stop buying this, all food products for all these different companies. And of course the Chinese government, we own parts of those companies. Like, all right, that's it. You're dead. You're a dead man.
So he just killed himself.
I think he killed himself or I want to say he killed himself. It was listen, whatever it was, it was outrageous what happened to him as a result of it. Like I hear they'd be like, you can go to jail for 18 months. It was a
Probation.
Yeah, it's fine.
But China has basically an economic stranglehold on the rest of the world.
Well, they've got a long-term plan. They're not thinking next quarter. They're not thinking the next 2 or 3 quarters ahead. They're thinking the next half a century.
Right.
So how do you and their entire thing is being run by one guy and a party that's designed for world domination. They're not saying, hey, let's all just be friends. It's like, no, we're going to they're going to take over South America. They're already taking it over. South America and Africa. That's what's going to happen.
Which parts of South America are they taking over?
I mean, I don't know exactly what parts, but there's tons of them down there.
Really?
They're building roads, they're building factories, they're hiring people. It's massive.
Wow.
Did you in China they have they have the surveillance system where they're tracking all their citizens, like almost all the cities.
Like they are here.
Facial recognition. Yeah, but they're tracking you everywhere you go. And they're recording
They don't
things
do that
you
here?
do. No, I don't. Not to let me put it. It's so out there. It's so obvious. They've come up with a social score.
Yeah, a social credit score.
Social credit score. So if
we're on that way. We're heading in that direction though.
If you were drunk in public,
maybe they're just more open about it.
Well, maybe, but listen, no matter how bad it is, it may or may not be here. If it were to ever happen, you've been caught littering twice. There was a domestic charge. You weren't charged, but there was a domestic call. Your neighbors complained, and one time you had a DUI 4 years ago. And guess what? You graduated high school, but very low in your class, so you've got a very low social score. So we're not going to allow you to use any of the trains or planes. You can't leave the country, and you can't leave the city, and you can't live in certain areas. Are you serious? Like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. What are you talking about? Like the paper fell out of my pocket. My wife, since she's bipolar, she's screaming, and the neighbors called the cops. Like, what are you talking? How is this? Yeah, no. That's
Who's to say I was drunk when I was driving?
Right. I did I do bad in high school? No, but no offense. I had no parents, no parental supervision, and my teachers sucked, and I have a learning disability. How do I have a 4 on the social score? Like, I mean, it's unfair. Mm-hmm. Like, there's just these things that are just ridiculous. Listen, bro, my biggest fear would be China. Luckily, by the time they probably start invading and taking over, I'll be dead.
But they probably won't invade like forcefully, right? Like
right now they
don't
can't.
Need to.
They don't have the Navy. They don't have the ability to move their troops into one of the few countries in the world that has the ability to move a massive amount of their forces across the world is the United States.
Right. Right.
Like China doesn't have that. Right now, their concern is protecting our borders, and we can expand our borders from where we're at. Mm-hmm. Take over this country, we'll take over this island.
Burn.
Slowly. But at this point, they're spending more and more money every single year. And I think it's something like in 10 years from now, they'll be spending the same amount of money we're spending on defense. And their economy is massive.
Oh, yeah.
So at some point, it will overtake our economy. When it overtakes our economy and they can outspend us, then they win.
Right.
You
would think if you were in charge of a country, right? Like for a second, hypothetically, forget about human rights, forget about the people of your country. But if you treat your if like instead of it being your business, it's your country, and you want to make it the dominant superpower of the world, they're doing it right. Like they are the superpower.